The city was cold that night. Street lamps burned weakly, throwing long shadows on the cracked road. Most people hurried home, their collars pulled high, their faces hidden from the winter wind. But not everyone had a home. In the corner of a dark alley, an alien girl sat on the ground. Her clothes were torn, her skin pale under the yellow light. She looked different from the humans around her. Small, shining marks ran across her arms like silver lines. Her eyes glowed faintly, a deep green that made strangers uncomfortable. People who passed by never stopped. Some stared for a moment, then walked faster. To them, she was only a strange creature living on the streets. She was hungry. Her stomach growled, but she stayed still. She had learned that moving too much brought attention, and attention was dangerous. She kept her head low, watching the busy street from the shadows. That was when she saw him. A man stepped out of a black car. He was tall, dressed in a heavy coat, his shoes shining even under the dirty streetlight. Two other men followed him, carrying files and speaking quickly into small devices. The girl's eyes fixed on him. She had seen faces like his before in the news screens at the plaza. His name was whispered in markets and on street corners. He was a diplomat, an important man who spoke for humans in front of the galaxy. He walked quickly, his face serious. In his hand he carried a small leather wallet. He was checking something inside it, not watching his steps. Then, in a moment that seemed small but meant everything, the wallet slipped from his hand. It fell, on the ground near the car, but none of the men noticed. The girl's eyes widened. She looked around. People passed by, but no one saw. The wallet was close, so close she could reach it before anyone else. Slowly, she crawled out of the shadows, her fingers brushing against the cold leather. She picked it up and held it tight. For a moment, she thought of running. Inside the wallet, she had seen money, shiny cards, and an ID with his name. If she kept it, maybe she could buy food, maybe even a place to stay for a few nights. It was more than she had ever held in her hands before. But something stopped her. She looked at the picture on the ID. The man's eyes in the photo were sharp, but not cruel. She remembered stories her mother once told, stories of honor, of returning what was not yours. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, soft but clear. The girl took a deep breath. She stood up, her legs shaking, and stepped toward the car. The diplomat had already reached the door. One of his men was opening it for him. The girl's heart beat fast. She wanted to turn back, to disappear into the darkness. But instead she raised the wallet with her thin hand. "Sir," she said, her voice trembling. The men turned first. Their eyes widened when they saw her. One of them frowned, ready to push her away. But before he could move, the diplomat himself looked at her. His gaze was sharp, scanning her face, her glowing eyes, her strange marks. "You dropped this," she whispered, holding the wallet out with both hands. There was silence. The street noise faded. The wind seemed to stop. For a long moment, no one spoke. The diplomat stepped closer. His hand moved slowly, taking the wallet from her. Their eyes met. Hers were full of fear, his full of something else. Surprise, maybe curiosity. "Where did you find it?" he asked. His voice was calm but heavy, like a question that carried more weight than the words. The girl swallowed. "On the ground," she said. The man studied her. He noticed how thin she was, how her hands shook from hunger. He noticed the strange glow in her eyes, the lines on her skin that looked almost like ancient writing. She was not human. She was not supposed to be here. One of his guards stepped forward. "Sir, let me handle this." But the diplomat raised his hand to stop him. He kept looking at the girl. Something about her felt important, though he could not explain why. "Thank you," he finally said. His words were simple, but his tone made them heavy. The girl nodded, stepping back quickly. She turned, ready to run back into the shadows, away from the danger of being noticed. But then, something strange happened. The diplomat called out, his voice cutting through the night air. "Wait!" She froze. Her body stiffened. Slowly she looked over her shoulder. His eyes were locked on her, sharp and searching. The guards exchanged confused looks. Why was their master stopping for a street alien? The diplomat's lips pressed together as if he had discovered something. He looked at the silver lines on her arms, the glow in her eyes. Recognition flickered across his face. "Who are you?" he asked softly. The girl's heart pounded in her chest. She wanted to answer, but no sound came. Her voice was trapped by fear. The diplomat leaned closer. His expression was no longer only curious, it was serious, almost urgent. "You don't understand," he whispered, his tone colder now. "If anyone else sees you, you will not survive the night." The girl's breath caught in her throat. She looked around, and for the first time she noticed them. 2 black cars parked at the end of the street, engines still running. Men sat inside, watching, their eyes fixed on her. And in that moment she realized this encounter was not simple. Returning a lost wallet had pulled her into something far bigger, something dangerous. The night air grew heavier after the diplomat's words. The alien girl stood frozen, her thin hands trembling at her sides. She wanted to vanish, to run back into the safety of the shadows. But the diplomat's eyes held her still. "Come here," he said quietly. His voice was calm, but it carried weight, the kind of tone that could not be ignored. She shook her head slowly, fear gripping her chest. She had spent months hiding from people, avoiding attention. To step closer now felt like walking into a trap. The diplomat noticed her hesitation. He softened his voice. "You gave me back what was mine. That means you are not a thief. You are different. I want to know why." Her breath came fast. She could feel the stares of the guards around him. They did not trust her. Their hands twitched near their belts where weapons were hidden under coats. And yet, the man they followed, the one with authority, looked at her as if she carried some secret answer he had been searching for. The girl lowered her gaze. Her feet moved back, ready to escape. But then a sound stopped her. From the end of the street, a car door opened. A tall man in a black coat stepped out. He did not look like a normal passerby. His eyes scanned the road, cold and sharp, before landing on her. Her blood turned to ice. She knew those eyes. Men like him had hunted her before. The diplomat saw it too. Without another word, he reached out and took her arm. She flinched at his touch, but his grip was firm. "Walk with me," he ordered softly. "Now." The guards looked confused, but they obeyed his signal. They moved quickly, forming a shield around the girl as the diplomat guided her back to the car. The black-coated man at the end of the street spoke into a device on his wrist. Another car engine roared to life. The diplomat's guard muttered under his breath, "Sir, this is not wise." The diplomat ignored him. He opened the back door of his car and pushed the girl inside gently but firmly. He slid in after her, the door slamming shut. The driver's eyes darted back in the mirror. "Where to, sir?" "Drive," the diplomat said sharply. The car surged forward. Inside, silence pressed down. The girl sat stiffly, her body pressed against the door, ready to leap out if she had to. The diplomat studied her in the dim light. Now that they were closer, he could see the fine silver marks on her skin more clearly. They were not scars, not tattoos. They glowed faintly, as if alive, as if whispering secrets in a language lost to time. He finally spoke. "You should not be here. They would have killed you out there." Her voice was weak, barely more than a whisper. "Why?" He leaned back, eyes narrowing. "Because of what you are." Her heart pounded harder. She wanted to deny it, to say she was nothing, just a lost wanderer. But deep inside, she knew he was right. The world had always treated her as dangerous, even when she was just a hungry child begging for scraps. The diplomat placed the wallet back into his coat pocket. Then he leaned forward, his gaze piercing. "Tell me your name." The girl's lips trembled. She had not spoken her true name in years. To reveal it felt dangerous, like opening a door that could never be closed. She stayed silent. The diplomat sighed. "Very well. If you cannot tell me, then I will tell you what I know." He lowered his voice, speaking slowly, carefully. "Long ago there was a race unlike any other. A race with knowledge of stars, with powers humans could not understand. Then one day they vanished, wiped out in war, or so we were told. The girl's breath caught. His words cut deep. Memories she tried to bury rose again. Her mother's face, her father's hand pulling her into hiding, the sound of ships burning in the sky. You carry their marks, the diplomat said, pointing at the glowing lines on her arms. That makes you a target. But it also makes you valuable, do you understand? She shook her head, tears filling her eyes. I don't want to be valuable. I only want to live. The diplomat's expression softened for the first time. For a moment, he looked less like a powerful man and more like a tired one. He nodded slowly. Perhaps you will, but not if you keep walking the streets alone. The car turned sharply, moving away from the main roads. The guards outside kept their hands close to weapons, watching the dark windows for shadows that followed. The girl pressed her forehead against the glass, watching the city lights blur past. For the first time in years, someone had spoken of her people. Someone had looked at her and seen more than a street beggar, but that did not bring comfort. It brought fear, because if this man could recognize her, then so could others. The diplomat looked out the window, his jaw tight. You gave me back my wallet. That was an act of trust. Now I will return the favor. He turned to her, his eyes burning with something between duty and resolve. From this moment you are under my protection. The words felt heavy, almost unreal. Protection. She had not heard that promise since her family was alive. She wanted to believe him, but trust was a dangerous thing. Outside, the black cars from the street had started to follow. Their headlights glowed in the distance like predators stalking their prey. The diplomat noticed. His hand clenched into a fist. They won't stop, he muttered. Then to the driver, faster. We cannot let them catch us tonight. The car sped into the darkness, carrying with it two lives that had just become entangled. One powerful and burdened with secrets, the other fragile yet holding the key to something far greater. And in the girl's chest, one question burned brighter than fear. Why would a man of such power risk everything for someone like me? The answer, she would soon learn, would change the fate of worlds. The car moved through the city like a shadow, fast but careful. The diplomat sat quietly, his eyes sharp as he studied the girl beside him. She kept her head down, hands wrapped tightly around her knees as if making herself smaller could protect her. The silence was heavy. Only the sound of the engine and the faint hum of the city filled the air. Finally, the diplomat spoke. You still have not told me your name. The girl said nothing. She had not trusted anyone in years. To share her name felt like giving away a piece of her soul. She kept her lips pressed tight. The diplomat leaned back, but his gaze did not leave her. You know they are hunting you, don't you? Her chest tightened. She didn't answer, but her silence said enough. He continued, his tone lower now. The men who followed us, they are not ordinary. They are not police, not guards. They work for people who fear your kind, people who would rather see you destroyed than alive. The girl's heart raced. She looked out the window where distant headlights still glowed, chasing them. She whispered almost to herself, Why? Why me? The diplomat's jaw clenched. For a moment he hesitated, as if the truth was too heavy to share. Then he said, Because you are the last reminder of something they cannot control. She turned her head, her glowing eyes searching his face. He looked back at her, and in his gaze she saw no hatred, only a deep knowledge of something dangerous. When I saw the marks on your arms, he said, pointing gently at her skin, I knew what you were. They call it the silent lineage, a bloodline thought to be gone forever, but clearly it is not gone. The girl's fingers traced the faint silver patterns on her skin. She had always hated them. They made her different, easy to spot, impossible to hide. She had tried to cover them with cloth, dirt, anything, but nothing erased them. My people, she whispered, her voice breaking. They told me we had to run, then they were gone. The diplomat's eyes narrowed. You survived. That means you carry knowledge, even if you don't understand it yet. There are secrets in your blood, secrets that could change everything. Her stomach twisted. She shook her head hard. No, I don't want secrets. I just want food. I just want peace. The diplomat studied her with something close to pity. Peace is not given to people like you. It is fought for. And right now, Those who fear you are preparing to fight. The car turned down a quieter road, the city lights fading behind them. But the feeling of being followed only grew stronger. One of the guards in the front seat muttered, "They're still behind us." The diplomat gave a short nod. "Let them follow. For now." The girl hugged her knees tighter, her glowing eyes wide with fear. She wanted to ask what he meant, but she was too afraid of the answer. Then the diplomat leaned closer. His voice dropped to a whisper meant only for her. "There is something you must know. Something your people never had the chance to tell you." Her eyes flickered toward him. "What is it?" He paused as if weighing every word. "Your lineage was not only hunted, it was betrayed. Someone gave them away. Someone powerful. Someone who feared what you might become. And that secret, it has been buried for years." The girl's breath caught in her throat. Betrayal. The word cut through her like a blade. She remembered the night of fire, the screams, the ships falling from the sky. She had always believed it was an enemy attack, an accident of war. But betrayal meant someone close had sold them out. Her hands shook violently. "Who?" The diplomat shook his head. "That I do not yet know. But the fact that you are alive means the truth is not lost. You are the key." Her mind spun. She wanted to scream that she was not a key, not a symbol, just a hungry girl who wanted to disappear. But she couldn't speak. The weight of his words crushed her. The guard driving the car spoke again. "Sir, they're closing in. At least 2 cars. Maybe more." The diplomat's eyes flashed with anger. "Then they know." The girl's head snapped toward him. "Know what?" "That you exist," he said, his tone sharp. "That you survived. And once they know, they will never stop until you are gone." Her blood turned cold. She pressed herself against the car door, her glowing eyes wide with panic. The diplomat placed a hand on her shoulder. She flinched, but he held her steady. "Listen to me. I do not know why fate put you in my path tonight. But now that you are here, you cannot run back to the streets. They will find you and they will end you. Do you understand?" Her throat was dry, but she managed to whisper, "What do I do?" The diplomat's eyes were hard as stone. "You stay alive. And you trust me." The car sped faster, weaving through empty roads. In the distance, dark cars followed, their headlights glowing like predators in the night. The girl stared at them, her heart hammering against her chest. She wanted to believe the diplomat. She wanted to trust. But in her world, trust had always ended in pain. And yet, when she looked into his eyes, she saw something that unsettled her even more than fear. She saw recognition, as if he had been waiting for her, as if he already knew the dangerous secret she carried. The car finally slowed after what felt like endless chasing. The alien girl pressed her forehead against the cold glass, watching the city lights fade into darkness. Tall buildings disappeared, replaced by narrow roads and quiet streets. Here the world seemed abandoned, almost forgotten. The diplomat's eyes stayed sharp, scanning every shadow outside. His guards remained tense, hands close to their weapons. Only when the driver stopped in front of a tall, silent building did the diplomat finally speak. "We are here," he said. The girl lifted her head, confused. The building looked old, its windows broken, its walls cracked with age. From the outside, it looked empty, almost like a ruin. One of the guards stepped out first, checking the street. Then he nodded. "Clear." The diplomat opened his door and motioned for the girl to follow. She hesitated. For a moment, she thought about running. But where would she go? The black cars had vanished for now, but she knew they would return. Slowly, she stepped out of the vehicle. The diplomat led her inside. The building's entrance was dark, filled with dust and silence. But as they walked deeper, the air shifted. The walls were stronger, the lights brighter. Hidden doors opened with quiet clicks, revealing hallways that looked nothing like the outside. "This is not what it seems," the diplomat said, glancing back at her. "Appearances are lies. Always remember that." The girl said nothing, but her glowing eyes scanned everything. She had learned to notice small details, the faint hum of machines behind the walls, the soft vibration under her feet. This place was alive, even if it hid behind a broken shell. Finally, they entered a wide room. It was warm, filled with soft light. A table stood in the center with food laid out, bread, fruit, steaming bowls of soup. The smell made the girl's stomach twist painfully. She hadn't eaten properly in days. "Sit," the diplomat said. She obeyed, her eyes locked on the food. Her hands trembled as she reached out, grabbing a piece of bread. She ate quickly, almost desperately, as if someone might take it away. The guards looked uncomfortable, but the diplomat only watched her silently. When she finally slowed, breathing hard, he spoke again. "You have been alone for a long time." She nodded, her mouth still full. He leaned forward. "Tell me, how did you survive?" Her hands froze. She looked down at the bread, her chest tightening. Memories flooded her. Cold nights on the street, hiding in alleys, stealing scraps when no one looked. And before that, fire. Always fire. She shook her head. "I don't want to remember." The diplomat's eyes softened for the first time. "I understand. But memories are not just pain. Sometimes they are warnings." Her gaze lifted, meeting his. His face was strong, carved by years of power and secrets. But in his eyes she saw something unexpected. Not pity, not fear. Something else. Respect. The girl's voice cracked when she finally spoke. "My mother!" "She told me never to forget who I was. Even when we ran, even when everything burned. She said, one day the world would remember us." But she never came back. None of them did. Tears filled her glowing eyes. She quickly wiped them with her sleeve, ashamed. The diplomat's jaw tightened. "Your mother was right. The world tried to forget your people. But the truth cannot stay buried forever. You are living proof." She shook her head, her voice sharp with fear. "I don't want to be proof. I don't want to be anything. I just want to live." The diplomat leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "And I will make sure you do. But you must understand something. The moment you gave me back that wallet, your life changed. You stepped into a game that has been going on for decades. And in this game, you are not a piece to be thrown away. You are the key." Her breath caught. Again that word, key. She hated it, but it followed her like a curse. "Why me?" she asked, her voice breaking. The diplomat looked at her glowing eyes, the silver lines on her arms. "Because you carry the silent lineage, and those who fear you believe you could bring back what was lost. Power, knowledge, maybe even freedom." The guards exchanged uneasy looks, but no one interrupted. The girl pulled her knees to her chest, whispering, "I never asked for this." The diplomat nodded slowly. "No one ever does." Silence filled the room again, broken only by the soft hum of machines hidden in the walls. Then suddenly an alarm beeped faintly. One of the guards checked a device, his face darkening. "Sir," he said urgently. "They found us." The diplomat stood at once. His calm expression hardened into steel. "How?" "They tracked the car," the guard replied. 2 units approaching." The girl's stomach twisted with terror. She looked at the diplomat, her voice desperate. "They'll kill me. They always said they would kill me if they found me." The diplomat placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "Not tonight." The guards moved quickly, locking down doors, preparing weapons. The safe house was no longer safe. The diplomat's eyes burned as he looked at the girl. "You must stay close to me. No matter what happens, do not run. Do you understand?" Her voice shook, but she nodded. The sound of engines roared outside. Shadows moved in the windows. The girl's heart pounded like thunder, and in that moment, she realized something terrifying. This man had pulled her into his world, and now, there was no turning back. Because the safe house was not a hiding place. It was the beginning of a war. Engines roared outside the safe house, their deep growl echoing through the quiet streets. The alien girl sat frozen at the table, her glowing eyes wide with terror. She could hear doors slamming, boots striking pavement. They were here. The diplomat stood near the window, his expression unreadable. He watched the approaching shadows with calm control, though his jaw tightened. His guards moved quickly, locking steel doors, activating hidden defenses. The girl realized now, the safe house was not just a place to hide. It was a fortress disguised as a ruin. Still, her hands trembled. "They found me," she whispered. "They always find me." The diplomat turned toward her. His voice was steady, sharp like a blade. "Not because of you. Because of me. I let them follow to see who would come." Her chest tightened. You wanted this?" He nodded once. "You cannot fight shadows if you never bring them into the light." The girl pressed her hands over her ears. This was too much, too many secrets, too much danger. She had returned a wallet, nothing more. How had it turned into this? Outside, the black-coated men spread into the street, weapons hidden under their coats. They spoke into devices, their eyes locked on the building. The guards inside raised their rifles. "Orders, sir?" one asked. The diplomat's voice was calm but fierce. Hold them back. Long enough for me to know who sent them. The girl's stomach twisted. You can't fight them. There are too many. He looked at her, his gaze burning. You don't understand. This is not about fighting. This is about sending a message. Then the attack began. Glass shattered as a flash device exploded through a window. The room filled with blinding white light. The girl screamed, covering her face. Shots rang out, loud, sharp, echoing through the walls. The guards returned fire, their movements precise, practiced. The diplomat pulled the girl down behind the table, shielding her from the chaos. His coat brushed against her face, heavy with the smell of gunpowder and dust. Her heart pounded. She had lived through war before, but this felt different. This was not a battle for land or power. This was a hunt, and she was the prey. The diplomat leaned close, his voice urgent but steady. Look at me. She raised her head, her glowing eyes wide. They will not stop until they have you, he said. Do you understand that now? Tears stung her eyes. She nodded weakly. Good, he said. Because if you want to live, you must stop running from what you are. His words hit her like thunder. Stop running? How could she? Running had kept her alive. Running was all she knew. But before she could answer, a door burst open. 2 men in black stormed in, guns raised. The guards fired back, dropping one instantly. The other rolled for cover, shouting into his comm. The diplomat rose, calm even in chaos. He fired once, clean and precise. The man fell silent. The girl stared in shock. She had seen violence before, but never with such control. The diplomat was not only a man of words, he was a man of war. As the fight raged, one thought burned in her mind. Why risk so much for me? The answer came sooner than she expected. The diplomat grabbed her arm, pulling her toward a hidden stairwell. Come, he ordered. This place will not hold forever. She stumbled after him, her legs weak. The stairwell led down into darkness, the sound of battle echoing above them. Her voice shook. Where are we going? To somewhere safer, he said. Then, after a pause, he added, and to someone who can help you understand why they hunt you. Her chest tightened. I don't want to understand. I only want this to stop. The diplomat stopped suddenly, turning to face her. His eyes burned like fire. You think they will stop? You think they will look at you and show mercy? No. They will chase you until you are ashes. Unless you fight back. She shook her head, tears streaming. I can't fight. I'm not like you. He knelt, gripping her shoulders firmly. His voice dropped low, almost a whisper. You are stronger than you know. Those marks on your skin are not curses. They are power. And power is the only reason you are still alive. His words sank deep into her heart, terrifying yet awakening something inside her, a spark she had long buried. Above them, the gunfire grew louder. The guards shouted, the wall shook. The safe house was falling. The diplomat pulled her to her feet. We don't have time. You must decide here and now. Will you keep hiding in shadows, or will you face what you are? The girl's breath came fast. Her heart pounded like a drum. All her life she had hidden, survived, crawled through the dirt like an insect. But now, with enemies closing in, with the diplomat's eyes locked on hers, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Choice. The sound of boots thundered on the stairs behind them. Men were coming. Her glowing eyes flared brighter in the dark. For the first time, she did not turn away. The hunt had begun. But maybe, just maybe, she was not only the hunted. The night bled into dawn as the city awoke. Streets filled with merchants, workers, and children. Nobody knew that in the heart of the crowded marketplace, history was about to change. The alien girl moved through the crowd with the diplomat at her side. His guards stayed close, forming a shield around them. She wore a hood to cover her glowing eyes and the silver marks on her skin, but fear still pressed heavy in her chest. They will see me, she whispered, clutching the edge of her cloak. The diplomat's voice was steady. Yes, and that is the point, her steps faltered. I don't want to be seen. He looked at her, his eyes hard but not unkind. If you keep hiding, they will hunt you forever. If the world sees you, if they know you are real, then you are no longer their secret to kill. You become a truth they cannot bury. She wanted to argue, but his words struck deep. All her life she had lived like a ghost. Maybe he was right. Maybe ghosts had no future. The marketplace was alive with sound, voices bargaining, children laughing, sellers calling out their prices. The smell of spices and fresh bread filled the air. For a moment it almost felt normal, But her heart knew better. Then it happened. A sharp cry rose from the crowd. Men in black coats appeared at the edges of the marketplace, their eyes scanning, weapons hidden beneath their sleeves. The girl's breath caught. They had found her again. The guards raised their weapons, forming a wall. Panic spread through the people as they noticed the tension. Merchants grabbed their goods, parents pulled their children close. Fear rippled through the crowd like fire. The diplomat stepped forward, raising his hand. His voice cut through the chaos, calm but commanding. "Stop." The black-coated men hesitated. Everyone stared. Then slowly the diplomat pulled back the girl's hood. Gasps filled the air. Her glowing green eyes shone in the daylight, her silver skin markings gleaming like ancient runes. The crowd froze, stunned into silence. Children pointed, adults whispered, some with awe, others with fear. She's one of them," a man muttered. "I thought they were gone," another whispered. The girl wanted to run, to cover herself, to disappear, but the diplomat's hand rested firmly on her shoulder, keeping her steady. "Listen," the diplomat's voice thundered across the square. "You see this child? You see her face. For years they told us her people were extinct. For years they told us lies. But here she stands, living proof of what they tried to erase." The black-coated men moved forward, but the diplomat raised his voice louder, commanding the attention of everyone. "They want her dead," he shouted, pointing toward the shadows. "Ask yourselves, why? Why fear a girl unless she carries something they cannot control? Why silence her unless her very existence threatens their lives?" The crowd murmured, confusion mixing with curiosity. The girl's heart pounded. She had never felt so exposed, so vulnerable. Yet when she looked around, she saw not only fear. Some eyes held wonder, some held hope. The diplomat's voice dropped lower, more deliberate. "Her people once saved us. Long before most of you were born, they fought in the skies when we could not. They gave their lives so humans could stand free. And how did we repay them? We betrayed them. We let them burn. And now the last child of that bloodline is hunted like an animal." Gasps, shouts, protests filled the square. Some cried out in disbelief, others in shame. The black-coated men grew restless, their hands twitching toward weapons. The diplomat stepped in front of the girl, his voice now unshakable. "No more. From this moment forward, she is under the protection of the Galactic Council. Any hand raised against her is a hand raised against peace itself." Silence followed. Then the sound of cameras clicked. Reporters had arrived, drones buzzing above to record everything. The image of the alien girl, standing frightened but alive in the heart of the marketplace, spread instantly across screens far beyond the city. The girl's legs trembled. She whispered, Why would you do this?" The diplomat glanced back at her, his expression softer now. "Because hiding keeps you weak, but the truth makes you powerful. And sometimes power is the only shield that saves a life." The black-coated men looked at one another, uncertain. They could not act now, not in front of the world. Not with every lens capturing their faces. Slowly, one by one, they melted back into the shadows. The crowd parted, whispers rising like waves. Some people bowed their heads in respect. Others stepped back in fear. But no one looked away. For the first time, the girl was not invisible. She was seen. Her chest ached with a mix of terror and something new. Hope. She didn't know if she wanted it, didn't know if she could carry it. But it was there, glowing inside her as bright as the silver marks on her arms. The diplomat raised his hand one final time. "Remember what you saw today. Remember her face. Remember that truth cannot be killed." And with that, he guided the girl out of the marketplace, cameras still following, voices still shouting. She walked in silence, her heart pounding. For years she had been a shadow, a hunted creature. Now in a single moment she had become something else. A symbol. News of the marketplace spread faster than fire. By nightfall, every screen across the city showed her face. The glowing eyes, the silver marks, the moment the diplomat declared her under his protection. People who had never believed in the silent lineage now stared in shock. Some whispered with awe, others with fear, and many with anger. In hidden offices, powerful men slammed fists against tables. "She should have been erased," one shouted. Now the whole world knows. But in homes, families sat together, watching. A child asked his mother, "If she is real, does that mean her people could come back?" The mother did not answer, but hope flickered in her eyes. The alien girl sat in silence inside the diplomat's safe chamber, far from the marketplace. She hugged her knees, her glowing eyes dimmed with exhaustion. She had not spoken since the reveal. The weight of the world pressed heavy on her thin shoulders. The diplomat stood at a window watching the city lights. His guards whispered updates into comms, reporting protests, celebrations, threats. The world was splitting in two, those who wanted her protected and those who wanted her destroyed. Finally, the girl broke the silence. "Why did you do it?" Her voice was small, almost lost in the hum of machines. The diplomat turned, his face shadowed. "Because truth cannot live in the dark forever, and because hiding would only keep you hunted." She shook her head. "But now everyone knows. They won't leave me alone. They'll hate me." He walked closer, kneeling to meet her eyes. "Yes, some will hate you. Some will fear you. But others will see you as hope. And hope is more dangerous than hate." Her lips trembled. "I don't want to be dangerous," his voice softened. "Neither did your people, yet history made them so." She looked away, tears brimming. She remembered her mother's voice. "One day the world will remember us." She had thought it was only a dream. Now it was real. And terrifying. A knock at the door interrupted them. One of the guards entered holding a device. "Sir, you should see this." The diplomat took the device. A screen lit up, showing broadcasts from across the galaxy. On one channel, politicians shouted, demanding her capture. On another, crowds cheered, waving banners that read "The Silent Line Lives." And in yet another, masked figures threatened war if she was not handed over. The girl watched with wide eyes, her chest tight. "They're fighting. Because of me." The diplomat placed the device down firmly. "No, they are fighting because of what you represent. You are proof that the past is not gone, and that terrifies them." She buried her face in her hands. "I never wanted this." The diplomat's gaze softened. "I know, but sometimes destiny chooses us whether we want it or not." Silence hung between them. The girl's glowing eyes flickered with doubt, fear, and something deeper, responsibility. Finally, she whispered, "If I am truly the last, then what happens now?" The diplomat straightened, his voice firm. "Now you learn. You learn who you are, what you can do, and why your people mattered. Because the world will not give you peace until you give them a reason to believe in it." His words sank into her like stone. She did not want the burden, yet she could not deny it. Then softly she said something that froze him. "I am not the last." The diplomat's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" Her glowing eyes met his, steady now. "When I escaped, I was not alone. Others ran too. Some were children. Some were hidden. I thought they were gone. But I can still feel them. Somewhere out there they are alive." The room fell silent. The diplomat's guards exchanged shocked glances. The diplomat leaned closer, his voice low but urgent. "If that is true, then everything changes. The world will not just chase you. They will chase all of them. You must be ready." The girl nodded slowly. For the first time, her fear did not crush her. It burned into determination. She stood, her small frame trembling, but her eyes bright. "Then I must find them." The diplomat studied her, pride hidden in his stern face. "And you will not do it alone. The council must know. If more of your kind live, then the future of the galaxy itself has shifted." Outside, the city roared with voices, fear, anger, hope, rebellion. But inside that small room, a fragile spark of courage was born. The alien girl was no longer only a hunted shadow. She was a survivor, a symbol, and now perhaps the beginning of something greater. The diplomat placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "The world is stunned tonight, but tomorrow they will choose, peace or war. And you, child, are the question they must answer." The girl's glowing eyes stared out the window past the city lights toward the stars. For the first time, she did not look away. She whispered almost to herself, "Then let them see me. All of me, because I am not the end, I am the beginning." And with those words, the stunned world waited for what would come next.